Welcome to The Legacy Shift, the podcast for cycle breaking mothers and conscious leaders raising liberated, legacy building children. I'm your host, Patricia Abdallah, TEDx speaker, generational healing guide, and mother of four on a mission to end inherited pain and parent with power. Each week, we'll dismantle generational patterns, reclaim your truth, and anchor into a new legacy, one that begins with you. You won't find perfection here, just healing, truth-telling, and the sacred work of becoming the parent your children don't need to heal from. Let's break the cycle together. Welcome to episode 2 of the Legacy Shift podcast. Today, we're going to be speaking about the myth of good parenting and what your kids actually need instead. So you don't need to be a perfect parent. You just need to be a present one. So today we're going to debunk what it means to be a good mom and invite you into changing the definition of success in parenting, connection, wholeness, and truth. All right, without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. So, perfection is not the goal in parenting. So what is the goal in parenting? It is presence. Perfection is not the goal. Presence is the goal. So how do we be present as a parent when the world seems so chaotic around us? This is a question that I often ask myself because the world is just so chaotic, especially with little kids or kids of all ages. And how do we become a present parent? So today we're going to talk about 5 myths of good parenting and what we actually need to do instead. Myth number 1 is the myth of a good parent. And I touched on this a little bit in the intro of this episode, but it's presence over perfection. There is no one size fits all for parents. And what matters is not how perfect we can do things, but the presence, the healing, and the self-awareness we have as a parent. If you are healing and you're self-aware and you're present in those moments that matter the most, that is healing. That is being a great parent. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to assume that you're on a healing journey of some sort and that you are these things already, that you are healing, you are being aware, and you are showing up as the best parent possible. So I don't want you to fall into any social media trap because on social media, everyone seems perfect. This is something that I'm constantly struggling with because every day I open up that app and I see the perfect lunch boxes. I see the perfect kids getting their shoes on. I see the perfect parents being calm, being cool, being collected. I'm not seeing the tantrums. I'm not seeing the chairs that are getting thrown on the floor. I'm not seeing the house being a mess. I'm not seeing toys being thrown all over the place or dealing with 4 trying kids at the same time. No, I only see perfection on those apps. So let's not fall into that very scary social media trap. And remember that it's going to be presence over perfection. Myth number 2. Myth number 2 is that generational trauma or healing passes generations or skips generations. This is false because any unhealed trauma from generations previous gets passed down to future generations. And this is why I'm so adamant and so passionate about the healing as a parent in order so that your kids don't have to heal from their childhood. If you do the healing, you're healing for your children so they don't have to heal. Unhealed trauma doesn't skip, it transfers. It would transfer from you if you don't heal yourself to your kids, to their kids, to their kids, etc. Just as your mother's trauma has transferred to you, your grandma, and so on and so forth. So any unhealed trauma does not skip. What we don't heal, we pass on. I'm going to say that again because it is so important to hear this message. What we don't heal, we pass on. Breaking cycles doesn't mean blaming your own parents. What it means is choosing different. And I talked about this in my first episode a little bit, that I just kept feeling like I was different. I was doing things differently. I couldn't put a name on it. I am choosing different to parent. And that is because I now understand that I'm generational healing. I'm healing past generations and I'm healing future generations. And you can as well by acknowledging patterns, by acknowledging trauma, by acknowledging cycles and breaking those cycles and moving forward into creating new legacy. So, myth number 3, the myth that kids just need structure and discipline. So, children do not need discipline, they need connection. Sorry, let me rephrase that a little bit. Discipline in the fact of making them feel fear and shame, et cetera, et cetera. They do need discipline in terms of applying themselves, I feel, and discipline in their work ethic and things like that. That's different than what I'm speaking about here. I'm talking about the discipline of, hey, you did wrong, now you're punished, XYZ. So what children need is connection in that moment, not control. And what we're seeing, a lot of these older generations or our parents or our grandparents, they look at discipline as, well, you're listening and you're being obedient. That is not what we're talking about here. Obedience does not equal control. What we need is connection. They need to feel emotionally safe. Our children need to feel emotionally safe, which then equals effective discipline. So if they feel emotionally safe, they're going to feel emotionally able to express themselves. They're going to feel like they can connect with you, and they're going to be able to recognize when they do something that may not be the best idea. And when we give that connection, we give them the space to be able to realize that on their own. Legacy change starts in the nervous system with regulation and safety. So if you're not feeling safe and you're increasing their nervous system and you're increasing the flight or fright or freeze mode, that is fear-based parenting. And what we want to see is not fear-based parenting. So that was when discipline equals obedience, which equals fear and shame and guilt, et cetera, et cetera. So the myth that kids just need structure and not discipline, that is a myth. Myth number 4 is the myth that it's too late to change. This is really big for me. Age does not factor into any healing journey. It doesn't matter if your child is 2 or if your child's 22 or 42 or 62. At any given moment in time, you as a person have the ability to choose healing, to choose change, and to choose legacy. So this could look like if you are of an older generation and you have a daughter and who has children, you have the ability to change that relationship right now. I don't care if you're 65 and she's 35. You have the ability to change that. And it is your responsibility as a parent to take that step into the healing journey. So legacy change will happen when someone chooses healing. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter what age your kids are. Healing starts the moment that you make that change, no matter what age you are. Repair in these moments are more important than perfection. So yes, you may have made mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've been in parenting now for 10 years. I look back and I'm like, oh, I should have done that differently. Could have done that differently. Could have done that differently. I don't sit here and beat myself up over it. I look at it and say, how can I repair now so that I'm a better parent moving forward? And how can I repair any damage that I may have caused in the past? So that's a food for thought. Change is always available. It's always available, no matter what age, no matter how old your kids are, no matter how old you are. Myth number 5 is the myth that gentle parenting is weak or permissive. Conscious parenting is one of the hardest and courageous things any parent can do because it is going outside the norm. It is changing behaviors. It is changing cycles. You are literally changing cycles. So it is one of the hardest and most courageous things a parent can do is heal cycles. There's no weak or permissive anything about that. It's not about letting kids rule the house. It's about showing them that they can lead. You're showing them that they have control over themselves and they have anatomy over themselves. You're showing them they can lead themselves and have empathy. You're giving them safe space. You're showing them that they have ability to be leaders, and you're allowing them the space to learn and do that. So today we went over 5 parenting myths And if you take anything out of this, I would just love for you to know that you are doing amazing as a parent, especially if you're here listening to this podcast. We are making legacy change together, and I am so excited to be here on this journey with you. I would love to hear your feedback of ways that you've been changing your parenting from how you were raised or previous generations, what you're seeing in your parenting journey. So send me a DM, send me an email. I want to hear back from you. And let's tie up this episode here. And remember, perfection is not the goal, presence is. Cheers. If this episode spoke to your soul, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps more cycle breakers like you find this movement. And if you're ready to go deeper, I have a special gift for you. The Legacy Reset mini course I'm offering you completely free. This is valued at $297. Inside, you'll learn the exact steps to start breaking generational cycles and resetting your family's legacy. You can grab it now through the link in the show notes. You'll also find my free guide, Breaking the Cycle, 7 Shifts Every Conscious Parent Must Make. Until next time, keep healing, keep leading, and keep rewriting the story for generations to come.